Thank you. I can't tell you how happy I am to be here. And I will try not to cry on your mic. So if I were trying to meditate and I'm asking, what is my divine purpose?
Now, why do you say trying to meditate?
Well, I don't think I do it well.
Well, here is what we would look for. You see, you've trained your mind to be very responsive to things. And so when you ask it to be quiet, you're asking something that it's not used to. So it doesn't shut down easily, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. In other words, it's nice to have an active, responsive mind. So what you want to do is pre-pave in advance. It really helps to meditate at approximately the same time every day, because it gets you sort of ready for the idea of it. And earlier in the day, the better, because the earlier in the day, you have less built up resistance. The earlier in the day, the more tuned in to the non-physical that you usually are. So meditate early in the day and do it every day, and not for a long period. 15 or 20 minutes is really enough. And say to yourself, the purpose of this meditation is not to receive answers to questions. In other words, I'm not going into meditation to script things or to do workshops. I'm not going into meditation to hear the answers to all of my questions. I'm going into meditation for one reason only, and that is to quiet my mind in order to release resistant thought, in order to tune my vibration upward so that it comes closer and closer to that of my source energy. So then, as you sit in your chair to meditate, find something to focus upon. Don't go to sleep, because sleeping is very different. Find something to focus upon that requires a little attention but not much. Counting is a very productive activity. Counting, because it requires some attention, but it doesn't let your thoughts wander on other things. Listening to something. Esther found a note that she could hold. And so at first she would hold that note, but then it was hard to hold the note. So then she just would hold the note in her mind. Even though she wasn't making the auditory sound, she just held the note. Holding a note takes concentration. It takes concentration and doesn't allow thought on a lot of other things. So holding that note, Esther found to be the way of raising vibration. Now, when vibration raises, you always feel it in your body. The feeling of the releasing of resistance feels like tingles up your spine. It feels like bubbles up your leg. It feels like goosebumps up your body. The releasing of resistance is always a physical, visceral, pleasurable feeling. So as you're releasing resistance, feel it in your body. And if you don't feel it, don't worry about it. Just look forward to feeling it later. But as you begin to feel that feeling, we describe it as a feeling of detachment. Some describe it as a feeling of weightlessness. Esther felt it as almost a feeling of density, in that she was more intimately aware of the aspects of her body, and she could not tell her toe from her nose. In other words, her body felt sort of like one thing. Well, once you get to that place, you know that you've managed to quiet your mind and you've had a successful meditation. Now, as you progress day after day, that feeling of meditation, it will move into other things. You'll get so that you can get right to that place of detachment really easily. And once you reach that place of detachment, as you relax into it, you'll begin noticing some sort of twitches and itches in your body. Different little things, muscles will move that you know you can't move. That's an indication that Source is sending signals that you at unconscious levels are translating. That's why we say a yawn is a good indicator. It's a signal sent from non-physical that you are translating at an unconscious level. So as you get those little twitches and itches, try not to be distracted by them, but instead embrace them and enjoy them, because what it means is residual resistance in your apparatus is being sort of shaken loose. And so those twitches and itches are indications of releasing of resistance. The numbness will be something that you will experience every time you begin. The twitches and itches in the beginning more, and eventually you won't feel so many twitches and itches because the resistance will be sort of worked out of your body. But then an interesting thing will begin to happen during meditation. You will begin to feel the impulse to move. You will feel the impulse to move. In other words, it will be easy, Often, sometimes you'll even feel alignment in your body. You'll feel muscles doing things you're not accustomed to them doing. In other words, this is source energy giving signals, and you, in your utter state of non-resistance, allowing the parts of your body to receive the conversation from source. It is so delicious, you see. There is no reason for meditation beyond that. Because what you're doing is releasing resistance, releasing resistance, releasing resistance, releasing resistance. Now, as you do that and you're in that clarity, as you come out of meditation, now if you want, you can receive something fully. In other words, that's the time. Sometimes people want to write the book during meditation. We think that's going about it the hard way, because in meditation, you're trying to quiet your mind. In writing a book, you're trying to receive. It's a different thing. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Best description of meditation that we've ever given. So now, what are the advantages of meditation? What would they be? It will tune up your vibration to who you are. And if you do it often, we would encourage it every day. If you do it often, the biggest advantage that it will give you is when you slip from your vibrational alignment place with a thought that doesn't match it, you'll recognize it at an early subtle stage. In other words, it will tune you into the frequency of who you really are, so that subtle thoughts that are a little off, you'll recognize them, and you'll be able to bring yourself back into alignment. So now, how would this apply to someone who has been systematically in a pretty uncomfortable place on the emotional scale? In other words, what we just described to you is a process that would really benefit anyone who hangs around anywhere from frustration to hope into belief and knowing. In other words, if that's where you hang around, that meditation would serve you really well. If you are in a place of despair or frustration, the meditation would serve you very well also. In other words, meditation, we would encourage that no matter where you are along the emotional scale. But if you are in that place where you're hanging around in more discomfort, then this time of meditation is simply going to be a time of relief for you. Even if you don't get to those tingles, even if you don't get to that place where you are utterly aware that you are aligned, in every case, an effort at quieting your mind will move you up the emotional scale. It just will. It is the fastest way we know to get you into the state of allowing what you've already put into your vibrational escrow. We would rather that you were in a chronic state of appreciation than meditation, because appreciation, there's no resistance within you either. But frankly, it's easier to teach nearly every one of our physical friends to meditate than to find pure positive thought. It's easier to quiet your mind, to put your brain on pause, than it is to take some subject that's been bothering you your whole life and clear it.
Right.
Good time for a segment of reflection.